So this week I wanted to teach you actually two new chords. So we have a lot of knowledge on some of our most beginner basic chords. So far we've learned G major, we've learned D major, we have C major, we have A minor, we have F major / F major 7. We have C add 9. So the two new chords I'm going to teach you today are E major and then also A major. And I've come up with some very basic chord progressions. I wanted to keep it as simplified as possible because I think these two chords will be a lot more difficult because you have to cram your fingers in a pretty small space. So I'll make sure that I keep the actual progressions a little bit more streamlined, and then the way they're set up, it'll be much easier to practice switching between E major, A major, and then D major. And then another one of the progressions will just be the same thing but backwards. So then we'll go from D major to A major to E major. So let's go over the E major chord first. So I'm going to start using the more standardized numbering your hand system, and I'm going to try to be more consistent with it in this video. I'm still trying to tackle my vocabulary when I talk about it. So your index finger will be your first finger, your middle finger will be your second finger, ring will be your third, pinky will be your fourth, and then your fifth will be your thumb. So for the E major chord, we need to put our second finger on the second fret of the A string here. So we'll have this note. And then we'll take our third finger and put it directly underneath on the second fret of the D string. We'll have that note, and then we'll take our first finger and put it on the first fret of the G string. So we'll have this note. And then our low E will be open, our B will be open, and then our high E will be open. So let's make sure everything's ringing out, and then we'll start strumming it. So we got low E, we got the second fret of the A string, second fret of the D string, first fret of the G string, open B, and then high E. So remember, especially when you're on these first couple frets, one of the most common problems is that your fingers will be too flat like this. And what can happen is you may get the first set of notes to ring out, but your fingers will be so low that you can hear this G is blocked out, as well as this B, and sometimes even the high E. So just make sure you have some nice rounded, comfortable arches to your fingers, and that'll make sure that you're getting the notes. So let's go ahead and strum that a couple times and get a feel for it, and then we'll move on to A major after that. So once again, we'll have the low E, second finger on the second fret of the A string, our third finger on the second fret of the D string, and then our first finger on the first fret of the G string. And then we'll have the open B and E. So we'll just do some alternate strumming very slowly to get an idea of what it sounds like, and we'll just do that a couple times. So we'll do cool. So that's what E major is going to sound like. So I'm going to go over A major next because I think this is a very tricky chord because there's actually a couple of different ways you can play it, and it was actually really fun kind of going back to the absolute basics because traditionally, the way A major is taught is with your first 3 fingers, and then they just go all down the line. So the traditional fingering would look something like this. So you'd have your open A, but then your first finger would go on the 2nd fret of the D string. So you'd have this note, and then your second finger would go on the 2nd fret of the G string. So you'd have that, and then your 3rd finger would go on the 2nd fret of the B string. And then you'd have this open E. So this is how I was always taught it, but I think that there's kind of a problem with it. As soon as you get this fingering, you'll figure it out. So you know how in my first video, I talked about how important it is to get as close to the next fret as possible. So my first finger is actually pretty much back towards the previous fret, and really to get a better, more clear note, it needs to be much closer. And you just really can't do that, especially depending on your hand size and your fingers. You're not really going to be able to get that first finger where it needs to be to get a nice, clearer, more sustained note. And then actually it's kind of the same deal with your second finger, your middle finger here, because that's directly in the middle between the 2 frets. So one thing I experimented with, because I always played it like this, was actually to use your second finger on the 2nd fret of the D string, and then tucking your first finger underneath on the 2nd fret of the G string, and then putting your ring finger or the 3rd finger on the 2nd fret of the B string. So you have this kind of like angle in your first finger. It kind of goes underneath your first finger, and you get much closer to that fret as opposed to the more traditional way where it's all the way back. So this is a traditional way, right? You can see how close it is to the very back of the previous fret, which is not where you want to be. But if I do the other way, take my finger off here, you can see how it's curving more towards where it needs to be. So once again, we'll go over the fingering, and this one might take a little bit longer, so don't feel bad if it takes a while to get everything ringing out. It'll probably take a little bit of time, but you'll figure it out just like anything else. So we got the open A, second finger on the 2nd fret of the D string. We have our first finger on the 2nd fret of the G. Then we have our 3rd finger on the 2nd fret of the B string. And we have our high E. So let's just strum that a couple times and get an idea for how that sounds. Cool, so once you have that in your muscle memory a little bit, it doesn't have to be perfect, but as long as you can somewhat comfortably make the shape, the next step would be to start practicing switching between the E major and then the A major. So this is really nice because even though the guitar is very cramped up here, you don't have to make a whole lot of movement to get to this chord. So we're just going to practice very slowly, going from E major to A major. And then the final part of this chord progression will be going to that D major that I taught y'all last week. And then what we'll do after that is we'll do the same chord progression, but we'll start from the D major, then go to the A major, and then to the E major again. So it'll be a very good workout getting your fingers not only tucked into where they need to be, but switching pretty seamlessly. And that's the nice thing, is that you're only going up 1 string each time. So it's going to be a lot easier once you start getting a hold of it, a hang of it. So we're just going to go very slowly with the E major first. We'll just do down, up, keep it nice and simple. And then I'll count 4 times, or I'll go down, up. I'll count 2 times to give us a rest, and then we'll switch to the A major. So it'll be down, up, 1, 2, switch, make that change midair, up, down, up, 1, 2, make the shape midair, come down, got the E major, down, up, 1, 2, relax, come down, up, relax, 1, 2, midair, make the shape, down, up, relax, come up, start making the shape, 1, 2, relax, start making the shape midair, relax, make the shape midair, A minor. So you can see how my hand, you might use a little bit more motion at first just because you're not used to it, but the nice thing is once you start feeling more comfortable with the kind of cramped feeling of this, you don't have to move very much to get that next chord shape. So I'd practice that for as much as you can, and then just until you feel comfortable of getting these changes cleanly, and then you can move on to the third part, which is introducing that D major chord. So just to refresh on the D major, we're gonna have our thumb muting the low A or low E and the A. And then we'll have the open D. And then we'll have our first finger on the 2nd fret of the G string. And then we'll have our third finger on the 3rd fret of the B string. And then we'll have our second finger on the 2nd fret of the E string. So that's what we have. So let's go ahead and practice going from, this is kind of like stage 2, right? So there'll be 3 stages. So the second stage of this will be going from the A major to the D major. So we'll do the same thing. We'll go down, up, 1, 2, switch, and then repeat. So we'll do 1, 2, relax, make the shape midair. 1, 2, relax, make the shape midair. Relax, make the shape midair. Relax, make the shape midair. Relax, midair. Relax. 1, 2, relax, midair. So basically, I'm just including these very dramatic rests between chords just so you don't feel overwhelmed, and it's gonna help build that muscle memory and make sure you're playing everything cleanly and you have enough time to get to the next chord. Because what eventually you could start doing is getting faster and giving yourself less chance to, or less time to have that chord be ready to change. So you could have like, like I said, there's no pressure. This is not a race. It's about learning and making sure we do it correctly. And you go as slow as you feel like you need to, and the speed will come later. It doesn't matter where you start. Everyone has to start somewhere. So just pick a comfortable speed and then just practice switching between first that E major and the A major. And then once you have that down, go to the second part, which would be the A major to the D major. And then the final phase will just be making sure that we tie all 3 of these together. So we'll go from here, E major, to A major, to D major. So let's practice that for a little bit, and then we'll do the opposite after that. So we'll do down, up, have a dramatic 1, 2 pause, go to the next chord, and then we'll go back up the neck after that. So we'll have down, up, 1, 2, down, up, 1, 2, up, down, up, 1, 2, and then we'll stay on the D, and then we'll do down, up, 1, 2, go to the A, down, up, 1, 2, E major, down, up, 1, 2, A, down, up, 1, 2, D major, up, down, up. So that's basically like the second or the final phase of this, is just making sure you can switch comfortably between all of those. I think it will take a little bit more time just because, like I said, it's quite a bit more cramped in here. But what you can start doing is, once you feel comfortable slowly switching between those, you can start upping the tempo, maybe start introducing some strumming patterns like what I taught you last week. So maybe we could do, for the E major, we'll still play it slow, but instead of doing down, up, we'll do down, down, up, up. So we'll do 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, down, down, up, 1, 2, down, down, up, 1, 2, down, up, 1, 2, down, down, up, 1, 2, down, down, up, 1, 2, down, up, 1, 2, down, down, up, 1, 2. So that could be the next logical step once you do it slower. And after that, what you could start doing is maybe experimenting with some of the other chords I've already taught you in the previous weeks. So you could do something like maybe just practice doing a 2-chord switch. So we have this D major, and you could just switch between that and the G major. I think this is a really good one to practice too, because this is going to be pretty common, and it's nice because your third finger is already where it needs to be, and your fourth finger is just below where it needs to be when it switches to that G major. So just a quick refresher, the G major is our second finger on the 3rd fret of the low E. Then we'll have our first finger on the 2nd fret of the A string. Then we'll have the open D, the open G, and then our 3rd finger will be on the 3rd fret of the B string, and then our 4th finger will be on the 3rd fret of the E. So you could practice this. So you got 1, 2, down, up, 1, 2, down, up, 1, 2, down, down, up, 1, 2. And then another good one you could actually do is going from G major to A major. So it's a little bit of a leap, and then you also have that very crowded spacing for the A major. So you could do down, 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 1, 2, down, 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 1, 2, down, down, 1, 2, down, 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 1, 2. And then you could also do just that A major to the D major, because I think that one's going to be a problem. 1, 2, 1, 2. Then you could also do C add 9 to the D major. So then we would have just a refresher for the C add 9. And just to reiterate, we're not going to worry too much about the theory name of it being a C add 9. Just acknowledge that it's a C major chord with a different flavor. So just a quick refresher, that'll be our second finger on the 3rd fret of the G string, our first finger on the 2nd fret of the D string, then we'll have that open G. We'll have our 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the B string, and then we'll have our 4th finger on the 3rd fret of the G string. So you could do, whoops, we could do, what was that? A major, 2, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So I think, one other thing I wanted to quickly go over was just the reverse. So the D major to the A major to the E major. So just practice going from both ends. So we'll have 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 1, 2. So I think between just practicing that, going ascending and descending, so up and down, either starting at the E or the D, that's going to take a long time, or it'll take a decent amount of time to feel comfortable with, and then just practicing your different chord changes with what you already know and incorporating those new chords. And